Let's get some analysis now from George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley. Good evening, sir.
Thanks, Mike.
Let's start with the indictments. Was that a warning shot fired by the U.S. government at Moscow?
Well, it was quite a shot. I don't know if it was a warning or below the waterline. It's clearly, if you read between the lines, it's clearly saying that this was a Russian government operation. It didn't spontaneously happen that you have dozens of people involved in a hacking operation with elaborate disguisings of their groups, their identities. It's suggesting that I think this is a government operation. Now, that points to Vladimir Putin.
Right.
What's interesting is that it doesn't really point to Donald Trump. That despite the dozens of pages, there's one word that is likely to be cited in this whole story, and that is unwitting. That is, the adjective unwitting appears in the indictment to describe Trump officials who had contacts with these Russians. They say that they didn't know that they were Russians. But what's fascinating is that it doesn't suggest that they have evidence of collusion. And this was brought out by Rosenstein.
Actually, we have that soundbite. Let's go to it if we can.
There is no allegation in this indictment that any American was a knowing participant in this illegal activity. There is no allegation in the indictment that the charged conduct altered the outcome of the 2016 election.
So your analysis of that point?
Well, you know, that's what's fascinating. It's been a year with multiple plea agreements, a lot of testimony, a lot of interviews, and they're saying that they still don't have any evidence of any knowing engagement with the Russians involved in this effort. That has to be good news to the Trump White House. It's also notable that the meeting in Trump Tower isn't mentioned. You know, they knew those were Russians, but if they were part of this effort, there would be some reference. Their identity was clear, and yet that is also not mentioned.
Is some of this basically saying to the folks behind us on Capitol Hill and around the country that want some answers about this and want some action taken about what happened to our election in 2016, that serious people are on the case and taking steps to address this?
I think it does. I think that there's a truth that comes out of this. That this makes more sense than the narratives that everyone's been throwing around in conspiracies. This began in 2014, began before the presidential election. The Russians were taking targets of opportunity, and they were shooting at everybody in the election, but they were certainly working more against Hillary Clinton. But what it does show is that they did a really quite impressive job in finding this cyber trail to these individuals.
Right.
And this is not over. I mean, these are individuals that are going to have serious problems because they've been tagged.
Let's switch gears to the devastating story, Parkland, Florida. The FBI says it got a warning, dropped the ball. Your reaction to that? You
know, I don't agree with Governor Scott that Director Wray should resign. I don't think that that's in any way responsive. There's no indication that he had a direct involvement in this. We need people to find out the truth to this. But there's a serious problem. You can't tell people see something, say something if the next line is do nothing. You know,
right.
it really undermines what the FBI has been working for years to try to get people to do. So there has to be some accountability here and some really explanation, because when you read the level of detail that was given to the FBI, it's breathtaking that anyone on the other side of that phone wouldn't go, oh my God, and immediately start to rally people to get on this. It sounds like it just went into a drawer and was left there.
Here's the explanation from the FBI. Let's take a listen.
The caller provided information about Nicholas Cruz and the potential of him becoming a school shooter. Under normal protocol, this information should have been provided to the Miami field office. Their appropriate investigative steps would have been taken. The FBI has determined that protocol was not followed.
You've been around this town a long time. Should somebody go for this?
Quite frankly, I think someone should be fired for this. It's not Wray, but we have to find out who was responsible. The FBI has been accused of not sharing information in the past with local authorities. That's a big gripe that you hear from a lot of prosecutors, investigators. But this one is far, far more serious. Nobody receiving that information could just view this as one more call about some kid saying stupid things. This was detailed, and this was imminent.
Professor Turley.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for your time and analysis. We appreciate it.